Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today we're going to talk about Archcraft. This is a pure Arch distro that was brought to my attention by Mustafab. And so, yeah, I think this might be a gold star request because this looks really cool. I can't wait to try this. I'm at the Archcraft website right now. As you can see, it's showing here the newest release was from April 10th, 2021. As of the time of this video, a little over a month ago. They got a little changelog here and a little note here that says PS, new installer the Calamares is coming soon. So apparently they're using probably more like a text-based installer, I'm kind of guessing. And then the next release will be Calamares. So that'll be interesting to look forward to as well. I'm going to go ahead and close that little notification here. And as you can see, I'm at the Archcraft website. Really like that name too, Archcraft. That's cool. Nice logo. Really nicely done here. Very artistic. I like it. And here we have kind of a little slideshow, so to speak, of how it looks. And this looks really intriguing. Now, another thing I find intriguing is here it says, what exactly is this? Just another Linux distribution made on top of ArchLinux with pre-configured settings and lightweight applications. However, even though this is a minimal, which uses lightweight apps and makes it super minimal and fast, it says here that it only takes 200 megabytes of memory. Wow. To get that low, that's pretty wild. Yet, it's stunning with a user interface in Archcraft, which is super clean. It's minimal, beautiful, and gives you multiple styles to use. Okay, looking forward to that. And here's the purity part of it. So Archcraft is built on top of ArchLinux, and it's pure ArchLinux. No custom kernel, nothing else. Okay, and then, of course, the software, it mentions that Yay is installed by default. I like that. That's one of my favorite Arch helpers, actually. Probably the favorite for the AUR. So that's great to know that it's already set that up. And only WMs. That's really cool. So it's only window manager driven, no desktops. Archcraft has no desktop environment, just some lightweight but highly configured window managers. Very cool. And it's free. You can't get any better than free. So keeping true to the Linux open source philosophy, it's free to download, free to try, free to install, and absolutely free to use, free forever, ever. You got to have the echo in there to stress the importance. You know how that is. So here we got our Archcraft download. Looks like the ISO is only 1.5 gigs. Not bad. A little note, it's only available for 64-bit architectures. There's no 32-bit or ARM editions, and perhaps never going to be. Well, I'm okay with that because I don't use either. And then it even says if you're not impressed, then hit the road. No, I'm kidding. They do kind of mention here that Archcraft OS may not be for everybody, and that it's particularly designed for people who want pre-configured ArchLinux and they like to customize their desktop, or they care more about their system's aesthetics. But anyways, if you're interested, be sure to try it. Well, I'm interested, so I'm going to try it right now. I'm going to go ahead and download this ISO, and then I'm going to load it into a VM, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I got it downloaded, and I'm scrolling down here, and these are some guides that come with it. If you want to just kind of follow along with the guide, that's quite good. So it's always good to have a look at it, and they even actually give you both ways to install it. So if you're on a BIOS system, then you can follow it here, or the UEFI system, which is, you know, typically what you're going to find on newer equipment. Then you got another set here. There's probably not a whole lot of difference here. And this is also showing you how to do it with encryption in case you wanted to do encryption. Otherwise, you can just skip right over it. So it starts out here and it kind of gives you screenshots of all the different steps here. Anyways, enough of my babbling. Let's go. Okay, so we're now at our boot screen, and it went ahead and auto booted in. So we should be booted in just a second, and then we'll see what's up. And it has a pretty nice splash screen there. I like the Archcraft. And here we got our login. The username is live user, and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then the password should be the same, live user. Okay, and here we are on our desktop. Nice. So right off the bat, it looks like we got a, I'm guessing this is probably Openbox. And here's our welcome screen. I'm going to go ahead and beef up our display here so we get a full screen. I think I could right click. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Lots of choices here. So I'm going to go to Applications, Settings, and Display. And I'm just going to change our display real quick to 1920 by 1080. There we go. And we'll apply that. Way more civilized. There we go. So yes, here we are. We are in our live environment. And even the live environment looks nice. Wow. You know, just out of curiosity, I'm going to close this menu and I'm going to run HTOP. To do that, I would just hit Control-Alt-H, and that would give me direct access to it. And so, wow, 443. Really low resources. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great, especially because I'm in a VM. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit F10 and jump out of that. And also, if you right click and you got your menu here, if you go to Applications, you see All Apps. If you just want to open up that All Apps menu by itself, all you got to do is press Control, Alt, and Spacebar. And then you have the All Apps menu by itself. And so then you can see your accessories and development and graphics and all that other good stuff. And actually a lot of stuff to choose from here, and settings and all that. So very cool. Nice. Yep, really looking forward to getting into this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hit my super key here and bring up our launcher. And then I'm going to select Install Archcraft. And let's take a look at that. So I'm going to press enter and enter in my live user password here, which is live user. And now we have our text-based installer. Nice. So we got English here, so that's good. Gonna go with that. And it's going ahead and testing everything, and it all says A-OK. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit prepare installation. You can either double click on this or just press enter. And then here we have our full list of steps we're going to go through for this phase of it. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter and set our virtual console, which is basically our keyboard layout. And so since I'm in the US, I'm going to be choosing US. So I'm going to press the letter U on my keyboard, and that'll bring me down into the U's so I don't have to scroll so much. And then I'm going to hit my down arrow key and find the US selection and then press enter. So now I got it set up for the US. And I'm going to do the same thing with the desktop keyboard layout. So I'm going to press enter again, hit OK, and then press the letter U on my keyboard and then arrow down until US is selected. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that or press enter. Now, optionally, you can list your devices, which will show your drives. You can really skip over that, but if we were going to go in there, this is kind of what you would see, your devices here for your drives. So we'll go ahead and exit out of that. And partition disk is our next option. So I'm going to press OK. And here it's showing our disk here, which is our 40 gig virtual drive. And then I have an extra virtual drive on here, a 4G. And this extra 4 gig is just something I have on there for in case we want to throw some extra apps. The 40 gig is the one we're really interested in. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now our options here are to securely wipe it, which in my opinion is unnecessary, but I guess if you got a lot of really sensitive stuff and you're on a live machine, Yeah, I guess you could go that way. I'm just going to go with automatic partitioning. You also have options here if you want to do things manually. You got gparted if you want to have a nice visual GUI to work with. Or if you prefer the command line type stuff, then you can use cdisk. And if I remember right, on the website, on the install tutorial there, I think they're using cfdisk. And then you also have parted, which is the text-based style of gparted. So I'm going to go ahead and go with automatic partitioning. And then it's saying that all data will be destroyed on this V drive VM. So I'm good with that. And so now it's kind of giving us a breakdown of what it did. So it created two partitions. So we have a 39.5 gig partition, which is going to be our root drive. That's where everything's going to be installed. And then we have a VFAT partition here, which is 512 megs. That will be our boot partition. I'm going to go ahead and exit. Lux encryption is optional. In the walkthrough on the website, they actually go through this. Personally, I'm just going to skip it. But if you want to encrypt your disk, here's where you would do it. And that's fine. I think by default they're using the open encryption option here on the website. Otherwise you can go with automatic. And they might have used automatic on the website. I can't remember. But anyway, you might want to refer to that if you want to use it. I guess if I was going to use encryption personally, I'd just choose the automatic because I don't really want to use it. So I'm just going to go back. And then we have our LVM management, which is also optional. If you choose it, then you go in here and then you can create some logical volumes. Really don't need to do that unless you're wanting to do something special and you kind of know why you're doing it. So that's something otherwise you can just skip over. And now I'm going to go ahead and mount our partitions. And here it's kind of letting us know that partitions can be mounted without formatting by using the skip none option on the menu. So that's good to know. So the first thing they want us to do is select the root partition. And this is where Arch will be installed. And that would be our 39.5 gig partition. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and hit OK. And now it's asking us to select a file system. And as you can see, if I wanted it untouched, I would leave it here at skip or none. But I do want to actually format this. And so I'm going to go with ButterFS. They're recommending the ext4, but I like ButterFS better, especially using time shift. I would want to have this anyway. I'm going to press OK. And then that's good. So yes. And then here it's asking if you want to add any mount options. So nah. There's no need really to select anything here. If you know what you're doing and you've got some special reason, then you can go ahead and just take your pick. Now it's asking for a swap partition. I don't think I want to create a swap partition, so I'm going to go with a swap file. Besides that, if I was going to use a swap partition, I guess I could use my extra 4G drive there, 4 gig. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather just use a swap file. So I'm going to hit OK. And it's matching the memory size here by default. That's where we would want to stay with. And now it's asking us to select the UEFI partition. This would be our boot partition. So I'm going to hit OK. That's our 512 meg. And so it's saying that it's already been formatted. Do you want to reformat? Yes. Okay, so now it's asking us to select a UEFI mount point. And so systemd boot requires /boot. And on the website, they're actually showing this as being the selected one, /boot. Being that we're in a UEFI configuration though, I would personally feel more comfortable choosing this guy, even though they're showing the other one on the website. So I'm just going to kind of stick with this, with the boot EFI. If for some reason there's a problem with that, it'll let me know before the install actually gets started, and we can always just skip back here and change it. No big deal. Yeah, for now I think I'm just going to go with boot EFI. That's what my gut tells me, and my gut very rarely lets me down. Okay, So select additional partitions in any order, and we don't need to select any other ones, so I'm going to go ahead and stay with done. Click OK, and now we can go back to our next phase, which is installing the base system. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and install base packages. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK again. And now it is beginning the install of our base packages here. So this is really cool. This should only take a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button and let it do its thing, and then I'll be right back. Okay, and that's done. That didn't take long at all. So now we're going to go ahead and run our MK and net TCP/IO and all that other good stuff. What a mouthful. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it's going to do its thing again. All right, we got our images created and config, and now it's gone back to the install bootloader. So let's go for it. So here we got our grub and then the systemd boot like you saw before. And so I'm going to stick with grub. All right. So now we're getting a little message here. Some UEFI firmware may not detect the bootloader unless it is set as default by copying its EFI stub to the boot EFI blah blah blah, blah and renaming it to boot x64 EFI. It's recommended to do so unless already using a default bootloader, or where intending to use multiple bootloaders. Set bootloader as default? Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay, so grub has been set. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now we're up to configure base. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So first we're going to generate our fstab. So sounds kind of brutal, fstab. So let's go in here. Going with device UUID is what I would personally recommend here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now we can set our host name, so I'm going to hit OK. And a host name is a friendly name that identifies you on a network, so it can really be anything. The default is Archcraft, but you could call it whatever you want. I think the Archcraft default is good, so I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Now we can set our system locale, so we'll hit OK. And again, I'm in America. We would start with our language, so I'm going to press E on my keyboard for English. And just kind of scroll down here with my arrow key, down arrow. And here we have ENAU, CA, DK, Great Britain, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Philippines. Wow, lots of choices. Here we go. ENUS, UTF-8. That's going to be my choice because I'm in the US. And then we'll just hit enter here. And now we're going to set our time zone. So let's jump in there. And I'm in America. And then I would select, I would say New York. So I'm going to press N on my key and then arrow down. There's New York. Confirmation, yes, America, New York. That's good. And instead of universal time, I'm going to go with local time. Then I'm going to hit OK. And now we can set our root password. So I'll just use my usual just for fun password. And now let's add a new user. And I'll use my usual just for fun Toadwick. Oh, by the way, they need to be all lowercase. Then hit OK. And now let's give Toadwick a password. And I'll just use the same just for fun password. Easy peasy. Okay, so now we got our users created and our root password. Now it's time for our security and systemd tweaks. So let's jump in here. And actually we don't really have to do anything here, really. These are just kind of options here that you can do if you want some improvement in your security. But actually I don't really see anything necessary for here, so I'm going to go ahead and go down to back. So we got configure base, Review configuration files. Okay, so here we can select anything that we want to review. Let's say we're doing this at work and your boss walked in, right in the middle of it, and here you're at. Uh-oh, what do you do now? Well, what you do is you just select one of these, like F-stab, and hit OK. And then as he's about to look over your shoulder, you just act like you know what you're looking at, and you just say, yes, the UUID looks okay. BTRFS, exactly what I wanted. 8350, perfect. Oh, hello, boss. And then he'll be like thinking you're some kind of genius or something because you can understand all this stuff. And he might even say, you know, I want to promote you to that IT head of department. Show up at 2 o'clock at our meeting. And you'll be like, yes. Hamana, hamana, hamana. Wait a minute. I don't know that much. Well, there's a solution if you get in that spot. Just get on Google. Just do a search for IT buzzwords that make you look intelligent. And download it, memorize it, and you're good to go at the 2 o'clock meeting. Okay, focus, Jack. Back on track. So anyways, that's how you can kind of review your files. If you kind of know what you're looking at, you can go in there and just kind of take a look at them. Make sure they're kind of the way you want it. And if not, you can tweak it if you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit done. And then yes to close the installer. And theoretically, that should be that. I was kind of thinking that it would say something like, the install has completed successfully. Congratulations, you chump. But it didn't, so that's okay. That just probably means it ran through all the scripts and we're done. Go down to System, and I'm going to shut down. And then I'm going to take my virtual CD image out of the boot up so I can boot into our installed image. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down, and I'll be right back. And with a little luck, it worked. Okay, and here we are rebooting, so that's good. All right, and it looks like it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Going to press enter first, or click on it or something. And then log in. And here we are. It looks like by default we are at our Openbox window manager. Yes, very cool. So again, I'm going to go ahead and right click, jump down here to settings and display. And I'm going to just change that real quick to 1920 by 1080. Hit apply and say yes. Close. Okay, so now we can get down to business. Okay. As you were. Quite right. Got to contain my excitement here. So here we are at our welcome screen. I'm going to close that real quick. And then I'm going to bring up HTOP just to see where we're at with our settings. See if we're still around 400 or so. If we're holding up with that. Here we are under System. And so, wow, 330 megs. That's awesome. That is totally incredible. That is really cool. I mean, that is very close to the 200 they were kind of talking about. And I think Mustafab said he was getting like 220 or so. And I'm thinking that's probably on real hardware. And possibly in the BSPWM window manager too, probably. But this is amazing, 330, wow. Yeah, I could really get to like this. And I haven't even done anything yet. I'm gonna F10 out of this, and whoops. I'm gonna F10 out of this, not F9. Okay. There we go. So yeah, I am totally incredibly impressed so far. Nothing has like made me go. So let me go ahead and right click here. And here we have all these different things here. We got our terminal emulator, web browser, file manager. Wow. and applications. So I guess the first thing I would want to do is probably update my Pacman. So let's just kind of do that. Here we have two file managers. So we got our PCman FM and file manager, which I think is probably Thunar. Here we got Thunar specified, but let me just hit file manager. I think that's the same thing, I'm thinking. Yep. So okay. And I think Thunar might be our default for Openbox. I'm going to just press Super and T. And, oh, I mean not T, that's our terminal. But I need that open anyway, so I'm going to slide that over. Super F for our file manager. And let's just verify that that's Thunar. And it is. Cool. So yeah, that's looking good. I kind of like having the address bar up there though, so I think I'm going to add that in there real quick. And so let's make our location selector path bar style. But then again, I do like toolbar style too. But all we got to do is hit edit here if we need the path. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and just stick with toolbar style instead. Because I like that, because when you get into folders here, I like being able to just kind of click back. I always thought that was kind of cool in Thunar. Thunar is a really cool editor, by the way. And then if I need to like copy the path, you can just click in there or hit edit and you're good to go. These icons look great too. I love that icon style there. Yeah, really beautiful. This is just like above and beyond what I would kind of expect to see in an open box. So this is decked out really nice. I like this. So in my terminal over here, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of update my Pacman database here, my mirrors. So I'm going to type in sudo pacman -uppercase SYY. And that way if there's any system updates I need, I can go ahead and do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my password and let it update the stuff here, the package database. And so that's all good. And now let's just make sure that's working. So let me just kind of do an install on something like say Pacman S, how about VLC player? And there we go. So yeah, looking good. I'm going to go ahead and hit Y. Actually, I forgot to check for updates. So I may need to run an update, even though this is like pretty fresh. VLC might not run, so I'll just type it from the terminal real quick. Yeah, cannot instantiate. So it definitely needs an update. I'm going to go ahead and just Control C out of there and then just run the update. So we'll do sudo pacman -syu and let it do the upgrade, replace VirtualBox. I'm going to go with no on that and no on that. In conflict, do you want to remove the DKMS? I'm going to go with yes on that. And yes, I'm doing all the opposites of the of the suggestion. Usually I find that that works better. So yes. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit yes here to do our update. So let's let that update. And while that's updating, we'll explore a little bit. Nice. So again, I'm intrigued with this little side menu, and I love this style. This is cool. So up here we got here, click on this guy, and we have our launcher here. And so a nice launcher. You can just kind of roll the mouse wheel down here and just kind of scroll through the stuff. So that's really neat. And time shift is installed. I like that. Cool. And it looked like I just saw a Midori web browser. Let me just click that. Yeah. Cool. I believe that's, yeah. The Midori web browser 9. So we got a nice lightweight and pretty cool web browser here for default, and we can always install anything else we want, no problem. So I'm right clicking again, and so our terminal emulator is here. So I just opened up another instance, and then our file manager by default is Thunar, which we found out earlier. What do we have for text editor? Here we have Genie by default. Nice, I like Genie. That's something I typically install when I install Linux, so that's cool. And then again, here's our applications menu. So under accessories, we got our file menu, we got leaf pad, nitrogen. So if we want to change our wallpaper, we can just hit that. And there's a bunch of wallpapers to choose from. So a lot of nice looking defaults here. That's a extreme close-up of a board. Nice. That looks moderately cool. Yeah, kind of like that. And that's interesting, another extreme close-up. Why am I here? Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Very cool. So yeah, a lot of neat little choices here that we got kind of right off the bat default. I'm liking that. I guess we'll just kind of go with that for now. And zoom to fill by default, I think that's good. So let's close out of there. Okay, and we are in. So wow, this is looking great. We got our getting started welcome screen here. So we are in Openbox, and then we have a bar up here which I think is Polybar. So we got the welcome screen here, about here, get started. So check this out. Wow, all kinds of keyboard shortcuts to get you going for the desktop, app launcher, all that. So Control-Alt-Space will actually launch the app. Then we get the all apps here, which is different than the menu. If I went over off to the side here and did a right click, then you have all these, and what we were just looking at is the all apps, which is the Control-Alt-Space. And here you can simply just right click to access it, or you can come up here and it launches the launcher. So that's pretty neat too. And then you can just kind of scroll down and get the stuff you need. Even has a customized look and feel. Let's check that out. So I'm gonna hit enter, and wow, okay, so right now we're using the Adapta Nocto theme here, which looks pretty nice actually. So if we wanted to change our look, we could just go around here, make it in the Arc theme, high contrast, Manhattan, wow, Spark, nice, Wave. That looks kind of cool. I like the black and purple. That's neat. Yeah, maybe I'll keep that. Then here we can tweak our color themes if we want to just kind of change the colors around. Icon theme, which is using hybrid, it looks like. So that's cool. I kind of like those. I'm going to go ahead and hit Super F. Open up my file manager here. And yeah, the colors look great. So now I can kind of see the icons, and I really like that. I'm gonna kind of stay with that, I think. Thunar for the file manager, cool looking icons, sweet. And our mouse cursor right now is using the hybrid cursor theme, and that looks good too. I think I'm good with that too. And it also has a light version if you like a white cursor and you're running something light. Then our font stuff, which all looks good. And then others, GUI options, toolbar style. So I'll just go ahead and close out of there. And then our text editor, by default, is Genie. Wow, yeah, great editor. I like Genie. That's a great all-around editor that can kind of open pretty much any file. And then of course here's our applications area, which we'll come back to. And then apps is root. Now, how cool. So we can run terminal, file manager, these text editors, and the command line Ranger file manager, nice. And Vim, we can run all these guys as root. So that's really cool. And appears at our terminal is termite. And then for our shortcuts, we got all these guys. Shortcuts to our music player, visualizer, color chooser. I'm just going to hit one for the heck of it. Nice. So there's color chooser there. That's pretty handy. I can think of a few times I wish I had one of those. Then we have quick links if you need to quickly go to Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all that. So I'm just going to hit Google here, and that's opened it up into, I think I looked earlier, and this was Midori, I believe, browser. So cool. Nice. And then we got a screenshot tool in here. That's very nice. Wow. I like it. So if we can open that up, instant screenshot. I guess I selected the instant option by default. But that's cool. Wow. Immediately loaded it in too. Normally I use a screenshot area because I'm usually just like screenshotting just a specific part. And then our places menu, very convenient again. Quick access if we need to jump right into downloads or something. Very cool. And then preferences. Okay, so here's our Openbox settings. So quick access right to here. And then looks like our theme by default is adaptive. Nice. And we can just instantly change our themes right here. Pretty cool. An olive, kind of a cool retro look. And wave, yeah, that looks kind of cool. I like the heart thingy there. I think I'll go with that for a little bit. And let's see what we got under appearance. Retain a border, animate iconify, yeah. How about windows? Yeah, looks like pretty standard stuff there. Move resize settings, mouse, desktops. Right now we're defaulting at 5 desktops, which you're seeing up here, these denoting the different desktops. And then margin settings and dock settings. Again, this is a special container for dock apps. It's not visible on screen until a desktop or a dock app is run. Dock apps can be used to show things like a clock or provide you with a system tray. Fascinating. Okay. Yeah, not familiar with the dock app, so yeah, I might have to look into that one. And what else have we got under preferences? So we got our compositor settings, so we can enable a blur effect. So let's check out more of these preferences. Change style. What's up with this? So we must be in default right now, I guess. Let me hit default. Yep, so we're in default. So what happens if I do something like change style beach? Wow, now our bar is down here. How cool. Nice. And I don't know where plank is, but yeah, we got a bottom bar now. They just have like different icon shapes, but those are like different desktop. So that's how you can quickly change styles. We got forest, and now we got the bar back up on top, and that looks pretty nice. And our clock in the middle, and now by default it's showing the date too. Cool. Otherwise normally you would click on it. And then, let's just try something on the bottom. All right, and there's wave. That's pretty cool. And there's our launcher. And then desktops. So this is kind of a different layout too. It's kind of almost like the default at the top, except there's no power button for shutdown. So I guess in this theme, if you wanted to shut down, you would just kind of right click and go to system here and do it that way. And I'm sure you can tweak the config. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with Openbox, so not really quite sure where the config file is that you would tweak to change this polybar settings, or if there's a polybar setting somewhere. And now change launcher. Wow, this is neat. So I don't know what style we're using right now, but let's just try something like I don't know, ribbon left. Okay, so now the launcher looks like this. Cool. Hit my page down button and I can kind of scroll through the different pages. Nice. Cool. And a nice ribbon there on the side. Excellent. Let's see what screen is. Whoa, that's cool. Full screen. Nice. I like it. So that's like 2 pages there. In this launcher you can double click and launch. So that's cool. And there's PCman FM. Excellent. Alright, so that is probably the browser in the other session. There's 2 sessions on here. When I logged in, you can choose from Openbox, which is a default, and then there's BSPWM, which I don't have any clue how to use. I've never used BSPWMs, so that's something I may have to explore in another video. So I'm going to just try one more. You can kill a lot of time just tweaking launchers and trying all these other things. How about full bottom? See what that is. Wow. Another full-size launcher, but this one's dark and it's got the cool ribbon on the bottom. And it looks like everything fits in this one page, so I don't even have to switch pages. So if you don't like switching pages, but you like a full screen like this, this could be a good option here. Full bottom. Nice. I like it. And let's see what Launchpad is. Ew, that's even cooler too. That's kind of transparent, semi-transparent. And this one takes 2 pages, a little bigger, but I like it. Yeah, this is nice. Cool. All right, let's see what else we got. So we got our power menu here. Not totally sure what that's referring to. Maybe when we do our right click, possibly. So I'll just try something like a drop circle. Yeah, no, I kind of think it looks the same. So yeah, I'm not really quite sure what that's referring to. So onward and upward. And here we got to generate wallpaper. So if we want to generate our own wallpaper, we can go in here and just do that. Like if I click on Plasma, and then we can choose a style, random, twisted, custom. I'll go with random. And there's a sample. Wow. So you can actually create unique wallpaper. Let's just say yes for the heck of it. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Actually, not too shabby. Neat. And then below that was change wallpaper. So here we got a bunch of preset wallpapers laying here. And something out in the middle of the woods, some stairs. That kind of looks neat. Yeah, I kind of feel woodsy today. Why not? So many preference settings here. This is pretty impressive. And then our appearance settings, which is probably similar to where we were before. A little different. Has our appearance property sheet here. And then our icons, fonts, and setting. Show images on buttons. I kind of like that. I'm going to kind of go check that. I kind of prefer seeing the images on buttons. So that seems to be off by default. So we'll just turn that on. Then we have our power settings where we can kind of set our power. You know, turn on and off our suspend mode and all this stuff. Screen lock. Display. So we can have it blank after 5 minutes, or we can increase the time, or turn it off altogether if you don't want it turning off. And then devices. Yeah, I do have my iPhone hooked up, so it's kind of detecting that. That's cool. Neat. And then if I go back to preferences, we have our audio settings. So nice. And we got our volume control. So our typical audio settings here with our playback, recording, output devices, input, and that's me on the microphone. Hi there. Wow. I feel powerful and mystical because I can move that thing with my voice. Ooh. Magic. And our configuration here, profile, which is pretty standard, analog stereo duplex. But if you were outputting to like an HDMI TV set or something, then you might want to switch to digital stereo. Assuming you have an HDMI port. All right. And then we have our about. How cool. So this must be the developer, the genius behind ArchCraft. So this is his name here, and I wouldn't do it justice if I tried to pronounce it because I would probably totally butcher it. And then he would probably leave a comment and say, "Why you putz, learn to pronounce my name." No, I'm kidding. So he lives in a small town in India, completed his graduation in computer science. Linux is his favorite operating system, and he loves it. I have done several projects for Linux, including this one. Check my GitHub for more if you like my work. Please support me. And yes, please support him. Out on the website there, or right here, don't hesitate to hit that coffee right there and buy him a coffee. He totally deserves it. Deserves more than a coffee, I think. So, Aditya, Shakya, well done. And I apologize if I butchered your name. All right. So, that is the about me. And actually don't know how you close that. Well, what I could do is change the style here because I lost my plank when I changed the style. And at this point in time, I'm not really quite sure how you get that back when you change the style. So I'm just going to jump back to default here and then jump down to my plank. And the about's not open. So, oh wait, Midori, it's probably embedded in that browser. So I'm going to right click and close that. And that got rid of the about. So cool. Mystery solved. Now I'll jump down here, and the last thing on here is system status, and it's showing all is good. So very cool. I like that status indicator. That's really neat. And then here's our key bindings. Wow. So we can display our key bindings here in the window, and it shows all our Openbox binds. And maybe in BSPWM, you might be able to get access to something like that there too, except you'd have to know the key binding to bring up a menu, I guess, because I don't think you can right click in BSPWM and pull up a menu. I could be wrong, but I don't think you can. But this is great. So you can go in here and you can just kind of see all the different bindings. Everything you can think of. So if you get stuck, there you go. You can just open that window, or just for a quick reference, you can hit the right here in the menu and just kind of grab something. So nice. All right, so let's just take a quick look at our applications here. And so under accessories, we got our bulk rename. That's always a nice thing to have. And our two file managers, which is Pacman FM and Thunar. Thunar is the default here in Openbox, and I would assume that in the BSPWM session that probably the Pacman FM is maybe the default there. Don't know for sure. Then we got LeafPad, or a text editor, Nitrogen for changing our wallpaper. So if you want to go directly to the wallpaper changer source, Nitrogen is the way to do it. So just like you were doing a pure Arch install yourself, you would probably typically install the Nitrogen for your handling of the, wallpapers. And then you got Plank, which is down here at the bottom. Yeah, I love that they put Plank in there. And I could probably actually change that setting to kind of stay visible. I'd kind of like that. So I'm just going to control right click down here and hit preferences. And then I think I'll go to behavior and switch auto hide to IntelliHide. Yeah, there we go. I kind of like that better. And then the theme, transparent's good, but what else do we have? We have matte, GTK, which looks cool too. kind of looks like the default, which this is default. Okay, so default has the bar down there, and then Adapta, which kind of has a dark bar. I think I'll go with default, and maybe I'll crank up the icon size to maybe around 38. Yeah, that'll work. Probably could even go bigger if I wanted to. All right, and then our terminal emulator, Thunar, Vim, Xarchiver is our archiver. And then development, we have CMake, Genie, Icon Browser. Nice. Vue Noir for our graphics. OBS Studio, which I installed on here before I got in here. And then Pulse Audio Equalizer, VLC Player, which is another thing that I installed here just before I started up OBS Studio. So that wasn't there by default. And then we have our network stuff here, and we got Firefox under network, so that's cool. Mail Reader, Midori, web browser. Firefox is something I also installed before I started up. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And so far there's no document or no Office stuff on here. And then our settings, we have About Creator. Not sure what that is. Let's just hit that. Creator. Okay. Yes, we were there before. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Then we got our accessibility settings, advanced network, appearance, color profiles, customized look and feel. Wow, actually a lot of kind of more advanced settings that I wasn't expecting. Here we have our settings manager. And so a lot of those are probably in here, but like the look and feel and those kind of things, those aren't actually in there. Like this one, customized look and feel, that's kind of more advanced than the appearance one that's in the settings manager. So that's kind of neat. And then advanced network configuration. So we can go in here and edit our wired connection and just kind of get really fancy if we wanted to. And just kind of do the IPv4 settings and 6 if you're using 6. This is on DHCP by default, so we're actually good. But if you had to get in here and tweak something, maybe add a proxy or just manually put in an IP address with a subnet, you can do it right here. Easy peasy. If you know what all that means, that is. If you don't, then it's not so easy peasy. You'd probably want to Google. But there's probably no reason you'd ever have to go in there if you're not an IT guy. So, and there's our getting started, file manager settings, mouse and touchpad settings, notifications, and then finally there's our system. So here's our system files. Again, we have About Creator, ZeroConf browser, bulk renamer, our file manager, gparted if you need to do some partitioning, hardware locality, HTOP, Ranger, Termite, Thunar, and time shift. So, wow, what can I tell you? And then of course up here on the bar, I guess if we just take a closer look here, we're back to our default. So when I changed the style, it actually put our launcher back to the default launcher here for this style, which is good. But if you want to go back to the other one, like if you like the full screen, just as an example, so I could just jump in here, go back to change launcher, and then just put in like Launchpad, I think it was. And then if you click on this, boom, there it is. So cool and groovy. And then I can double click, and there it is. Nice. Thunar. Yeah, so double clicking works really great there. And then here, if you need to change your display, 1920 by 1080, I didn't have to do it this time because I'm on hardware, so that's nice to know. Advanced settings, very great. And so the settings manager here is the XFCE manager. Got our color profile, or the manager that you use in there, same one. So I think we made it all the way through the loop. Wow, this is great. So, man, you know, this is something I could just use. I've never really messed with Openbox at all before. I know I've had it as alternate sessions on some distros that I've installed, like with XFCE or something. You might have Openbox as an alternative session, and if you kind of use that and you log in and you go into the Openbox, it might look a little bit like this, but you probably won't have a polybar up here, and it usually looks very vanilla. And if you right click, there's a small basic thing you might have here, but you don't have all the cool stuff that we have here. So the developer really set this up really nice. He knows his way around Openbox and really configured this really great. So I gotta say, I give him a lot of credit. And having the plank in here too, really like this idea of having an option where you can go completely without a desktop environment and use only a window manager. Window managers like i3 and BSPWM, Xmonad, because they're really lightweight and there's no desktop environment behind it. And I can understand that. But if you're not really the kind of person, or if you're not ready to be totally keyboard based and you still like your mouse, this is maybe a gateway to like a tiling window manager, because you kind of have the best of both worlds. It's got floating windows and you can use your mouse and you can right click, but still you can use it kind of like a tiling window manager too. Like when I want to get to my terminal, I can Super T or Super F to get to my Thunar. Like I said, you know, before, Control Alt Spacebar. This is kind of like the best of both worlds things. And for me, since I'm not really a tiling window manager user, this kind of gives me that same lightness and that same kind of coolness of being out of a desktop with a gorgeous graphical environment, but I don't have to learn a gazillion keystrokes or write a 1,000-line config file to do what I want, because I already lost enough here. I don't want to lose any more. No, I'm kidding. Actually, scripting's a lot of fun. So, you know, if you got the time to really kind of get into scripting, that could actually be a new universe that you could discover. However, I like this Openbox setup here, and one of these days I'm probably going to get into the BSPWM session there and just kind of learn my way around that. So that could be a future video to explore. What do I think of this? I got to give it not only a 1 thumbs up, but a 2 thumbs up. Yes, this is a super fantastic distro. I love it. This is kind of one of my new favorites. In fact, I'm going to just kind of work on this machine here for a while and just live in it for a little bit, because this is something I'd kind of like to play with and just kind of have it as a kind of a pretend daily driver. And who knows where that could go. I love it. And Mustafab, I need you to do something. Put up your hand like this. Yeah, go ahead, do it. You're still not doing it. Come on, put it up. Okay, now give me a high five. Yes, that was really great. Wonderful suggestion. I'm glad you turned me on to this. This is a fantastic distro. And like I said, double thumbs up. Actually, I can't give it enough thumbs. If I had more thumbs, I would add them in there too. So I hope this video was helpful, and that maybe you picked up a few things about Archcraft, and you might want to get out there and try Archcraft yourself. I don't think you'll regret it. So we'll load it into a VM or stick it on a machine that you feel safe with, and just give it a try and play around with it. I think you'll love it. And with that, I hope this was helpful, like I said before. And if it is, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Totally appreciated. And hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.